Have you ever woken up and just knew you were going to have a bad day, and then it was? Did you ever dread going into work, not because of a tough, temporary situation, but because the work environment was toxic or you felt like what you were doing was insignificant? Or how about in your spiritual journey? Do you struggle with regular prayer or Bible study or going to church? You're not alone. This topic is about positivity. This was introduced, given to us, suggested by a soldier. If you have suggestions for topics that you'd like us to do or questions that you'd like answered, please leave them below in the comments. Motivation, positivity, is slippery, and having a positive attitude about something can be difficult, especially when it's inconvenient or feels like it's not worth the suffering. Yet, we read in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verses 16 through 18, "Rejoice always, pray constantly, give thanks in everything, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus." Rejoice always. Rejoice always. Rejoice always. How are we supposed to do that? Obviously, this person did not foresee 2020, or else he might have written in an exception, the COVID clause. Although Christians were being persecuted and even killed just for being Christian. That seems kind of bad. But continual joy is a mindset that takes real effort. It takes a drastic change from how most of us would naturally live. Yet it's possible, and we're supposed to do it. Let's think of a different situation. Nutrition and exercise. They are a necessary part of life. However, for all the people who set out to change their eating habits for the better, anywhere from 70 to 95% don't stick to it after several months. When it comes to exercise, there are similar rates. Usually around 80 to 90% of people do not maintain an exercise routine. It's probably not surprising to hear this. Around the new year, it becomes a popular topic. Still, if you were to do a brief search on health statistics and sticking to diet and exercise, you'll quickly come across alarming information on obesity in the United States, which is simultaneously not that surprising. People know what needs to happen to improve, yet they don't change. What does it take to change? Change. In a sense, that's it. You just have to do it. How do we rejoice always? We go through the act of rejoicing. The reason for this is simple. Behavior determines emotion. It can be more complicated than this. There are things outside of our control. We have tendencies to make things more difficult than they need to be. But generally, we are responsible for ourselves. You've probably heard the saying, fake it till you make it. If you start with pretending to be able to do something, you'll eventually get the hang of it, and you'll be able to do it without pretending. If you do something out of sheer will, no joy or reward, it is unbearable at first, but eventually becomes a part of daily life. Praying, going to church, exercising, rejoicing can all feel like this. They start out rough, but time forms them into habits. Understand, habits morph into parts of your life that feel necessary and desired. Without them, you would feel like a different person. If you went to the gym every day and then suddenly stopped, a part of you would change. Our joy works in a similar way. See, 1 Thessalonians reads that Christians should act. It instructs to rejoice, to give thanks, to pray. These are not verbs of being, but of doing. Instead of being joyful, we are to rejoice. Why do we do this? Because of God's will for us in Christ Jesus. We follow after the model of living Jesus provided. We follow after the hope that that Jesus gave for our lives now and in the future with his return. Rejoice always.